Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Best thing that I'll ever know.
Hello, hello, hello. Oh, let me pull here just for a minute, because I got to do this live, and then I got to go back to pricing stuff and get my truck loaded because I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I can be at the yard sale by 5 so I can finish setting up my room. Got it half set up. I don't know if you can see. Sorry, I got an email. Sorry. The moon and sun pictures are sold. They just sold when I posted my videos on Facebook. These are emeralds. I don't know what. There are pigs. The other end of the pig table with the poos. Starting into the collectibles. Other end of the collectibles. Now this is only half the stuff because I don't even have half of it priced yet. Got to work on it tonight. So okay, let's get this in on stage. Copyright disclaimer. Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research use. A fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. I mean no disrespect to anybody whose channel I borrow content from. I will give them credit in my description when I remember to. I did today. Each person that each channel that I borrowed content from, I gave credit to. The people that they're showing on their channel, I'm not giving credit to. Except Chris Proudfoot, because he's in every one of them. All right, let's put some music going on up here. Let's see, we did Tico the other night. We did Channel 13 last night. Let's do To the Valley tonight. Is that too loud? Hi, H. Davis. I had to come in late tonight. I had to go start setting up for my yard sale tomorrow. So the title for this smoke is incense. It's not cigarettes. because I don't do cigarettes. I don't even have my vape in here. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a good night for y'all. I'll probably go get it when a video's playing. Things happen. Yeah, they do. I think that music got a little loud. I won't be around tomorrow, have class. I probably won't be doing a live tomorrow because it's the mega yard sale in El Dorado and I rented a booth. So, but anyway, so the title to my thing is Will the Real Chris Proudfoot Please Stand Up? Please stand up. Yeah, okay. So, as we know, this guy can be ugly. I mean, verbally. So, trigger warning. He uses, and in the first one that I'm going to play from the CNY family, I'm not going to play the beginning of it because the things he says about Brittany J are just so vile that they're too vile. Too vile. It borders on SH. And I don't mean with the IT. I mean S harassment. That's what it borders on. Verbal S harassment. All right. Now, let me share. Present screen. This is compliments of the CNY family. And it says Chris Proudfoot reveals his true self yet again.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was like, holy moly, is this for real? But to, people wanted to talk about Seth's anger when Seth was on that video going after that Trevor Lee guy. Wow, look at his anger. Look what kind of guy he is. But listen, Chris has come out early on, angry guy, got an attitude, got chip on his shoulder, whatever. And then he come out and tried to be this calm, cool, collected, make everybody think he was this, good person. And then he comes back out today and, acts like this. Some people are like, well, no, it's great. Him and his wife get talked crap on every day and all day, and he's sick of it, and good for him. And it's like, this behavior is not acceptable from anybody. I don't know why people think it's okay. I don't know why people think it's cool.
I agree with her. It's not okay. It's truly not. The vulgarity and the slapping each other, the bluebirds slapping the green team, that's just not right.
And his stepson all the time. Well, that's because he's missing. That is because he is missing. Wow.
I agree.
So sick and tired of listening to this fucking bitch.
Well, you have officially made my computer stall with the chat going wild.
Sorry, everybody. I apologize, but I'm just sick and tired of listening to this fucking bitch. Yeah, and I've said some shit about her before, and I don't give a fuck if she stood in front of my goddamn face. I'd say it right to her fucking face again.
Me too. With pleasure.
Now,
see how he threatened Brittany J? That should not be. I'm telling you, YouTube and Google should. Hello to the two people in my chat. Please hit the thumbs up while you're here. That channel should be closed. Gone. Done. should be taken down. Chris Proudfoot should be banned from the internet. Just my opinion. Okay. Sorry. You're hearing. I switched to a different page, which you can't see because I haven't got it loaded yet. But it's credit to Clipper. And he clipped Chris Proudfoot being his true self. And this is only 2 minutes and 21 seconds. So I'm just going to let it play and I'm going to run and get my vape.
She's still there. I am still open to talk to you. But I'm not going to sit here and talk to Tony. I'm not going to sit here and talk to At Night about what the fuck we decide all three to do. Because quite honestly, it ain't nobody's damn business. This case has gone from a missing 15-year-old boy at the time to now a 16-year-old. Went from talking about Sebastian to somewhere this roller coaster jumped track and got on this other fucking ride that has become a show of attack parents on all sides, attack creators because they don't agree with one person they like or the other persons don't get along. It's become a whole fucking weird shit show.
I agree. I think that statement is the most true statement Chris Proudfoot has ever said in his entire life, and I have never met the man.
And it makes no sense. I hope, truly, at the end of all this, everybody can go back, look at each other, and say, look, we screwed up. Everybody needs to have some form of an agreement.
Chris Proudfoot, are you going to be able to come on live on all these panels you've been on and say, I screwed up, I'm sorry? Or will you not be able to because you'll be wearing silver bracelets?
Stay the fuck away from all these children. You want to talk about a case? Talk about a case. Don't dig inside the families. Don't. You want to dig inside suspects? Sure, go for it. The suspects, not everything attached to them. It makes no fucking sense how this has gone from a true crime community to a fucking straight up bullshit, drama-filled, Oprah, soap opera, Emmy Award-winning, Oscar-nominated bullshit thing I've ever heard my entire fucking life.
I agree, it's gotten
If the
out.
Oscars and Emmys had a fucking category for the biggest bullshit shit show, I'm pretty sure YouTube could win it. TikTok is a runner-up, and whoever else is fuck there. Branch is still there. I am still open to talk to him. But I'm not going to sit here and talk to Tony.
Okay. Okay. Now, that was the most true statement I think anybody has ever said, as far as I'm concerned, about YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, which I won't have anything to do with Snapchat. It's stupid. The only reason people use Snapchat, in my opinion, is if they've got something to hide, because whenever you Snapchat something, it disappears in 24 hours. And it can't be found again. I don't know where it goes, but it disappears, from what I've been told. I don't do Snapchat. I watch TikTok because my grand angels are on TikTok. And I I watch, what's the one that's a little square with a little circle in the middle? Square and a circle. Instagram. I knew. Why didn't you, stop yelling at me. Stop yelling at me. I knew it was Instagram. I just forgot for a second. Okay, look, I'm having such a good hair day. Beautiful. So beautiful. I washed it today, and I got a Brad Mondo hair. If you can take the bristles off, and it's blow dryer, and you can put the brush bristles back on. It's got 2 different sizes, and I roll it up, and I'm upside down with this, and I'm rolling it back like this while I'm blow drying my hair all upside down. And then when I turn my head up, right back up, this is the way it fell, and I just put hairspray on it. I was like, yes, such a good hair day. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So next, we're going to go to Evil Exists. And his title says, Chris Proudfoot just said this. Is he saying Sebastian is no longer with us? So I think he left a clue. Okay. Oh, yeah, I got a present screen. Sorry. All right. And this is only 3 minutes long.
Rogers, just 15 years old, when he vanished from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. On the day Sebastian vanished, he was taken out to all his favorite activities. He was even so excited about his mother making breakfast that he called his family to brag about it. Katie Proudfoot took him bowling, out to the Roadhouse for dinner, bought him a colossal popcorn earlier that day. It was just non-stop fun, and many started to question whether that was a usual thing for them to do, or what was the big occasion, because it seems like that would be overstimulating for any child, let alone a child on the autism spectrum. Katie and Chris Proudfoot have their fair share of red flags, and it's been said that Sebastian wasn't really wanted in the Proudfoot home, so he was set to go and stay permanently with his biological father, Seth Rogers. Chris also didn't want Sebastian around his daughter Faith. Let's not get into the shocking accounts from neighbors on how Chris treated Sebastian, and also the CPS reports that were filed. Just some massive red flags, to be honest. Anyway, did Chris just allude to Sebastian passing away? My jaw dropped when I heard this comment from him on a recent live stream. Chris was on there, laughing and joking, as many viewers questioned his behavior. They asked how Chris could go on and joke and laugh, have a good time, and not talk about Sebastian being missing. I will play the clip for you guys in a second, but he basically said, when you are born, the world rejoices, and you cry. And when you die, the world cries, and you rejoice. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, I'm going to explain to you what that means. It's a Native American thing, okay? When you're born, doctor or whoever delivers you, pat you on your butt to make you breathe. And when they spat you on your butt to make you breathe, a natural baby's cry. And the family's all happy, the mom and daddy's happy because the baby's breathing, they're rejoicing. When you die, your family and everybody who loves you cries. But if you go to heaven and you're with God, you begin to rejoice. So that's what that statement means. I don't know where Chris Proudfoot learned it, but and because he doesn't look to me like he has any Indian in him, but he might. Who knows? From what I understand, they're Polish. Anyway, so I just wanted to take a second to explain that.
Is he telling us that he knows Sebastian is no longer with us? Take a listen and drop your thoughts down below.
And they were like, oh, they were up there laughing and joking around and not talking about Sebastian. It's like, they can't have a good time. It's stupid.
Well, my question to people when they say something like that is real simple. You mean to tell me everything that's tragic in your life, you don't ever stop? You lose somebody
Right.
in your life, and all you
Right.
do is you just sit there and have the negative times, and you don't stop to have and reminisce. Well, I remember when Uncle So.
I know people that are like that. I do. They cannot get. Hello, Marley13. How are you? Thank you for being here. They've lost a loved one and they just cannot get over it. They let it control their everyday. I mean, years after the person has passed away, they haven't finished grieving yet. And not that you ever actually finished grieving, but it's still like it was yesterday. They're still grieving like it was yesterday. So I know people that are that way, but I'm not condoning. I'm not condemning them.
So and so, or Grandpa did this and Grandpa did that. Like, you don't ever do that?
Right.
Probably
Yeah,
these
I mean,
people
we
out
enjoyed
here,
having Kate up here. I mean, is she holding up all right?
like these people out here stay miserable like that, in my opinion. Like they don't understand it. Real life, I mean.
Right.
Right. They just dwell on it.
Well, there's also a thing to say about positive affirmation. You know, you can't live in that. You have to be positive. Like, no, he's going to come home. He's going to come home. And that's it. So there you go.
Well, here's all right. So I'm not going to get religious on this aspect of this, but there's a saying, a Native American saying, that they say that when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. But when you die, the world cries and you rejoice.
Mm. That's beautiful.
I believe that.
Like at this.
Okay. Now, next we're going to go to bed crime stories. Now, I know this clip was in Good Day. Had all 4 grandkids. They wore you out. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I wish I could see my grandkids. I really do. I have 4 in Oklahoma, 5 in Missouri, 1 in Maryland, 2, I think, in Texas, and I don't know how many in California. Because one of my daughters has had like 10 or 11 kids, and I don't see that daughter, and I only get to see one of her kids, and I get to talk to a lady that adopted her second. So, excuse me. This was on. I used it yesterday in the same context, but in a different video in my yesterday's live. Because in this video, Chris Proudfoot. Okay, we've seen him be vile and vulgar against Brittany J, talking to chlamydia. We have seen him say some true things about the Bluebirds and the Green Team, the way people are acting as adults. We've seen him talk about grieving and wondered if Chris was hinting at us that Sebastian is no longer alive. And next we're going to see him threaten. Now, this is just the one clip I've got of him threatening, and he's threatening the mob crew, but he did threaten Brittany J, and he's threatened other content creators, and he threatened Seth, and all kinds of things. So, this is his threat to mob crew. All right. This is Chris Proudfoot issues subtle threat allegedly to mob crew, and it's from Crime Time Buzz.
One, I wasn't coming up here to approach her, to
Oh,
talk to her and question her. That was not, no, I just came up here to say hi.
this is at 105.
Right.
And unfortunately, she jumped down. I was polite. I did say, good evening, Mrs. Skull. You can go offline. I am perfectly okay.
You know what? I even went in and told Mob Crew that when he was sitting there talking all that, there was a whole bunch of shit he was saying. I can't remember what all he said, but I went in there. I said, well, if you really want to know that bad, why don't you go in there? Why don't you go ask him? He's got no problem speaking to you.
Well, I got Mob Crew a better one. You want to look at your videos very carefully and you want to get them done correctly? Get off your damn computer and bring your ass down here and come find me. And I'll walk with you on every part of this road and walk with you on every part of your video. I got no problem with it. But when you sit behind a damn keyboard and you do the shit that you're doing, you play with fire, you're liable to get burned. You might want to reconsider some of the things he's doing right now, because he potentially may have a bigger issue down the road.
If that's not a threat, I don't know what is. He just threatened him that if Mob Crew doesn't stop what he's doing, which is looking for the truth behind the Sebastian story of what we all know, the same as anybody else on the green team is doing, except Mob Crew has so much more knowledge about how computers work and the different filters and everything, and he knows how to slow things down and speed things up, and he is so good at what he does. I couldn't even begin to do half of that. I'm just barely getting to where I can make AI thumbnails. Okay, next we're going to go, we saw him, now we're going to see him lie. Let's watch Sebastian Rogers lie. And this is from, I believe, the Lore Lodge. Yes. Evasive maneuvers. Thank you, Lore Lodge. The link is in the description.
Throughout the appearances made by the Proudfoots, one thing I noticed is that Chris very much seemed to be in control of the narrative they presented, and he was the one fielding most of the questions. But then upon closer inspection, I noticed that he also frequently avoided answering questions. You know, he would say something that would sound almost like an answer, but it would avoid the substance of what he was being asked. Now, Katie, it seems, did this too, but there was really only...
Thank you, Aiden. I have been saying that for the last 6 months. But I didn't know who to say it to. I guess you heard me. Thank you, Aiden.
One instance that stuck out to me, and that was from the March 17th interview. I believe it was Duchess, but it might have been another member of the panel who asked, how many pairs of shoes does Sebastian have? Katie answered saying, I'm not going to tell you how many shoes he has, but I will say that all the shoes he has are accounted for. Beyond hiding some form of severe neglect, I cannot fathom a reason to completely withhold this information. While I could understand not giving an exact number because any deviation from that given number could engender suspicion from the internet, I don't understand not at least giving an estimation, like, oh, he's got about half a dozen pairs. He has about 4 pairs.
Well, we know how many pairs of shoes he has because Seth told us. Seth had just bought him a new pair of boots for winter. His mom had just bought him new tennis shoes, and he had just got another pair of shoes for school because he had outgrown all of his shoes. Plus, he had a pair of slides that he wore when he would take the trash out or take the puppies out to go to the potty.
He has about a dozen pairs. But then, after one of the panelists named Crystal said that she didn't quite hear Katie, Chris clarified that she said she would not divulge how many pairs of shoes she has, but law enforcement has accounted for every pair of shoes. And Katie then, without prompting or missing a beat, followed that up with what to me sounds like a correction when she said, I have accounted for all of his shoes. Now, personally, I feel like the panel probably should have followed up on that, but they didn't, and Katie once again claimed that all of his shoes are still accounted for inside the house still during their appearance with Nancy Grace. Now, during that interview, as well as several others, Chris avoided, refused, or simply failed to answer numerous questions, and in some cases for reasons that I just find utterly bizarre. The first one I want to address came when Nancy was asking about the make, model, and year of the cars driven by the couple, and Katie answered that she drove a 2017 Infiniti SUV. Chris, on the other hand, simply said that he drove a diesel truck, specifically a Chevy, and did not give a year. So Nancy followed up and said, well, what was the year? And Chris said he didn't know off the top of his head, but he thought it was probably a 2021 model. Now, this wouldn't always strike me as odd, but in this case, Chris had given several extremely specific answers earlier in this very interview, as well as in an early interview from March 3rd, again with Duchess. Now recall, in that March 3rd interview with Duchess, he was able to tell her 2 very specific times that he may have gotten onto the phone with his wife, 9:43 and 9:46 p.m. And you know, most people under those circumstances would say around 9:45. And then earlier in that Crime Stories interview, he had told Nancy Grace that the time from his doorstep was exactly 3 hours and 37 minutes. You know, leaving aside the fact that travel times are almost never consistent down to the minute across distances such as the 229 miles between Stafford Court and St. Jude's in Memphis, it's pretty hard for me to believe that. One big reason for that is that Chris works in construction, which means that the specifications for his work vehicle are going to be extremely important to him. When purchasing a truck, he probably compared different brands and different model years and specifically chose 2021, especially considering that it seems like he's not struggling with money. That's also something I'm going to get to in part 3 because I have no idea where all of this man's money is coming from. And in addition to that bit, while anecdotal, I can't think of a single person I know who could not tell you the year of their primary vehicle. Aiden, what year's your truck?
1989.
What year's your Camaro?
2010.
Amanda, what year is my Altima?
2020.
What year is my Jeep?
2014.
I think I make my point. I think Chris knows what year his car was made. In the interview, Nancy didn't say anything that would suggest she caught this and kind of had the same thought, but the look on her face definitely suggested that. So she carried on to confirm where the cars were that night, and then something else weird happened. Katie confirmed that her car had been in the garage, while Chris said that his was in Memphis, but then Nancy asked, so there's only one car at the home, right? And Chris replied, there was actually a work vehicle in the driveway at the time as well, but it hasn't moved. We can't give out that information because we don't have permission from her work. And Nancy simply said,
I don't understand that. What?
And personally, after 2 weeks of doing nothing, I mean literally nothing but research this case, I feel that on a spiritual level. But Chris kind of responded about the make and model of the vehicle, like, you know, saying, I can't tell you the make and model. You asked about the make and model of the vehicle, I'm telling you I can't tell you. And Nancy, seeming a little incredulous, asked, why is that? If it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information? Now, Nancy didn't ask the name of the company. She didn't even ask what the company did. She just asked the make, model, and year of a car that was sitting in the Proudfoot's driveway in their possession. And Chris only answered, we just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information, even though he...
And had they divulged that information, which is public information, public record, Katie wouldn't have lost her job anyway.
Didn't need it. It's also public information on LinkedIn that Katie Proudfoot works as an installation technician for Brinks Home Security and has since 2020. And Brinks Home Security, from what I'm seeing online, typically uses the Ram ProMaster City utility van, so again, public information. So, I mean, there, Chris did it for you. But Nancy pressed ahead, asking Katie what she did for a living, and of course she said installation technician, did not say Brinks, and she also asked if anyone could have pulled into the driveway with that car there. And Katie said that it was at the back of the driveway, that the SUV was in the garage, and that yes, if somebody wanted to pull into the driveway, they could have done so. And she also confirmed, upon further questioning, that the only ways to get into the garage were either with a remote or a code, and that Sebastian had access to the latter. When it came to a number of other questions, Chris was equally opaque. For example, Duchess asked about Sebastian's medications during that March 17th interview. because Sebastian was diagnosed with 6q27 chromosomal deletion syndrome, as well as, I believe I read somewhere, ADHD. Chris replied that he would not be disclosing any of the medications that Sebastian was prescribed, which I could understand that to some extent in certain cases, but the bizarre part is that he said it was for HIPAA reasons. HIPAA does not prevent parents from disclosing the medication that their minor children take to journalists, and especially not in cases where that could be relevant information. And yeah, what medication Sebastian was taking may not be relevant to his disappearance, but why not just say that instead of lying and saying it's for HIPAA reasons? On top of that, I feel that having that information out in the open could be useful in the event that Sebastian, who, again, 15, intelligent, he's just on the spectrum, he knows what medications he's on. What if he goes to seek them out? If he did run away and he knows he's supposed to be getting medication, what if he goes to a clinic and tries to get it? If every clinic in a 100-mile radius knows what medications this boy is on, they might know to flag anybody who comes in who matches his description looking for those medications. The fact that Sebastian was on the spectrum makes me think that he would probably really care about his daily routine, and taking his meds would be a part of that. So if he chose to leave on his own, I do think that he would try to get access to the medicine he knew he was supposed to be taking. And in addition to that, I also think that had he left of his own volition, he probably would have thought to take his medicine with him. So to that end, I am curious if the police checked up on that. Did they go and see, were his daily medications still there? And it would also be good to know, is Sebastian able to get to his medication without assistance? Is this in a locked cabinet, or does he grab them out of his own bathroom sink every morning? But these were not the only times Chris evaded questions, and they were not the only times that he outright refused to give an answer. Because in the same interview, he was very cagey about how long he and Katie had known one another. One of the panelists I mentioned earlier, a YouTube creator who goes by the name of Cold Case Crystal, pressed the Proudfoots on that question during the March 17th interview, and this was because Duchess had skipped the question earlier on. And Chris immediately went on the defensive, replying, "So my question to whoever is asking that is, what does that have to do with the investigation of our son?" And Duchess seemed to agree, telling Chris that people came for her for skipping it and that she didn't think it was pertinent to Sebastian being missing. Chris replied, "I mean, it really has no pertinence to the investigation or the fact that our son is missing. But like I said, I'm respectful, I'm brash, and I'm direct to the point. To answer that person's question, I've been in Sebastian's life for half his life." And before I go into why this might in fact be a pertinent detail, I do want to note that Chris uses that exact same combination of words several times when answering questions. That brash, respectful, direct, and to the point. In that interview alone, he says this 3 times. And that's just in this one. He said it another 2 times in a different podcast. And I'm trying to see if there's a pattern here. I haven't determined if there is yet. But as to why that's pertinent, it's because the answer to that question may make Chris seem like not the best guy. I'll be going into more detail about this in part 3, but the quick version of Chris's previous marriage, which was his 4th, is as follows. Chris married a 35-year-old single mother by the name of Fernanda Gomez, who went by Nina, in 2016. This is while he was still stationed in San Diego for the Navy. And then she became pregnant in September of that same year. According to Gomez, Chris was not happy about any of this, and he was also physically abusive towards her 2 children from a prior marriage. Now, it should be noted that currently this is a complete he said, she said issue. I have yet to verify most of the details from either person's account, so again, just keep that in mind. Regardless, Faith was born June 2nd, 2017, and at that time, the marriage was in a very bad place. Chris was living in San Diego, but Nina, because during the pregnancy their marriage had broken down a little bit, had moved back in with her parents in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She had lived in New Mexico when she and Chris first began speaking. They met through a dating app, and when they got married, she moved out to California to live in naval housing with him. And it might occur to those of you who are familiar with military housing, and I checked this with one of our Discord members who just got out of the Navy, when you're married in the Navy, you get better housing and benefits. So without making any concrete accusations, I do have to wonder if it's possible that Chris married Nina Gomez and the 3 women before her solely for the benefits. This could explain why he went from marriage to marriage, why he married a woman he only met on a few occasions, and why he was upset when she got pregnant. It could also explain why he wasn't just upset about the pregnancy, but allegedly insisted that Nina terminate. If he was just marrying her for the benefits, he wouldn't want the strings that come with having a child. And again, I'll get into more of my reasoning on this one in part 3, but I'm skeptical of a lot of things here. And once again, not making any accusations, just giving potential explanations. After Chris and Nina's daughter, Faith, was born, however, they did try to make things work. He took some leave and he spent time living with her in New Mexico. And then after about a month, he went to go back to San Diego because, again, he was still in the Navy. But Chris, he was trying to be a good husband. He was trying to build a support system for Nina. So he suggested that she leave behind her entire family, who was helping her raise her child, and move to Hendersonville, Tennessee, where she knew literally nobody, so that his family could help raise the child while he was in San Diego. Nina did end up moving, though she told journalist Trevor Lee that it was against her better judgment, and said it was because she still hoped to make the marriage work. Earlier in the interview, she had said that when she met Chris, he was great, and then just after they got married, he changed very suddenly. So maybe she was hoping she could get that original version of him back. But according to her, only about a month and a half after moving, she had to take her elder daughter, Isabella, who I want to say was 7 years old, to the hospital at Vanderbilt. And while she did this, the other 2 children stayed with Chris's family. Her 3-year-old son, Noah, went to stay with Chris's sister, Melissa, while Faith, who was at this point an infant, went to stay with Chris's mother, Kathy. And this arrangement, according to her, may have all been a trap. She claims that when she returned home from the hospital, Melissa met her at her apartment and dropped off Noah, and then they went inside to wait for Kathy to bring Faith. But rather than Kathy showing up, a lawyer knocked at the door. If Nina's story is to believe, then that lawyer was Kathy's family friend, Patty Garner, who served her with a temporary protective order as well as divorce papers.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get to. Because there's been speculation that Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot have lawyered up. So, just like Aiden just said, Kathy, I'm sorry, I'm listening, but also making sure they're brushing their teeth. Yes, ma'am. That's very important. Thank you for subscribing to my channel today. I appreciate it very much. But what Aiden just said, that Kathy's friend Patty is the one that served Nina with the restraining order and divorce papers from Chris when Faith was just a newborn. She was just a matter of a couple of months old at the time when this happened. And then once again later, when Katie and her brother, or Katie and Chris's brother, or somebody had gone down to pick up Faith and bring her back, at the same time, papers were served to Nina again. So they've been trying very hard to get this child that Chris didn't even want away from Nina for some reason. And they didn't want Sebastian because he's not perfect. So, from the minute that this happened, the minute that Sebastian went out his door, that between the 25th and 26th of February. The minute Sebastian went out the door, whether he walked of his own free will, whether he was carried, whether he was alive or unalived, either or, prior to him going out, when it was decided that that night Sebastian would go out of the house, Chris and Katie Proudfoot were already lawyered up. They already had a lawyer. That's why we keep hearing, in my opinion, from Chris Proudfoot, law enforcement won't let me say that. Is a lawyer not a form of law enforcement? He's not saying that Eric Craddock won't let him say it. He's saying law enforcement. Lawyers have to enforce the law. So, If his lawyer's saying don't say this, then he's not going to say it. 90% of the time, you don't see Chris and Katie Proudfoot on any panel physically see them the way I'm looking at you. Because if I look like this, I'm looking up and I can't see my computer. I'm looking over here because that's where my little picture is on my computer. And I look over here because that's where my big picture is that you're seeing on my little picture on my other computer screen. But anyway, hello to the third person in chat. Please hit the thumbs up while you're here. It'll help my algorithms go out. But Chris and Katie were lawyered up before any of this happened. You don't see them on panel unless Chris is at work, obviously. Which I don't think he's even working anymore. It's just in my opinion, because how can you sit for 5 hours on Queen Bee's panel? You know, we haven't heard anything from Katie in months and months and months, except for Sebastian's birthday. How do we know Katie and Chris are still together? How do we know? We don't. We don't know that Chris and Katie are still together. But in my opinion, they were lawyered up before the decision to get rid of Sebastian. Or the decision for Sebastian to go out of the house that night was made. So now we're going to go to my final presentation. And this is going to be from the wonderful Miss Audra Griffin, aka Bullhorn Betty. She is wonderful. It says, Chris Proudfoot threatens more women and now kids. He's lost control. I haven't heard the whole thing that she's going to talk about, but we will see what she has to say.
I'm going to show my receipts. You know, we'll let the dirty be dirty, but we're going to show our receipts. So let's just keep going. Let's listen to how this stepfather advocates for his missing stepson.
With her ass cheeks spread wide the fuck open. So
I'm sorry.
Play that shit for that bitch to hear.
This is a woman he's never met that has some type of opinion about.
I'm sorry. I thought I had gone past that part. I didn't mean. Thank goodness. In the beginning of this live, when I played the first clip, and I said I'm not going to play the first part of it because it's so vile against Brittany J. That is the very end of the first clip that I wouldn't play, and I'm so sorry.
About him. She's not allowed to have her opinion. Chris is allowed to have his opinion of her, but she's not allowed to have her opinion. Otherwise, it's doom and gloom and suck on a shotgun, right?
And he actually told her to do that.
Oh, don't worry. If you really want to fucking know, she ain't had her fucking feelings crushed, but I'll do my minimum to fucking destroy her.
Too bad this man can't talk, but yet he's the one that drafted a family plan. By the way, when a child's missing, that family plan is non-existent. When a child's deceased, that family plan's non-existent. So I'm pretty.
We have fiber optic cable, and it's really weird. If it rains, we get this spinning thing.
Sure that childhood whatever plan, family plan, whatever, is probably unenforceable because, you know, Katie had an ultimatum and I guess she made her choice, right? So we are in this situation because of the choices Katie as well as Chris have made.
Her fucking feelings. Because quite honestly, that bitch needs to close her fucking mouth before she stuff a whole goddamn turkey in it and choke on a fucking chicken leg on the way down. And hell, by doing it, she might actually do something good for her kids and her husband.
Did you hear that? Chris Proudfoot just said that if Brittany J choke on a chicken and unalive herself, she would be doing her husband and her kids a favor. That is so vile and so disgusting, and I am so sorry, Brittany J. I'm so sorry. It's not fair to you. You do not deserve to be treated that way.
Oh, so now he knows her life, because her life is clearly not as fucked up as Chris's. But somehow or another, he's got to try to bring her.
Bullhorn Betty, you better put a quarter in that bucket, that swear bucket.
Down to his level, because he ain't low enough, right? Beating on children, pulling up allegedly at 3 to 4 a.m. when he was asleep by himself, home alone, right? And then, wasn't that the same thing as his wife's alibi? Wasn't that the same thing as that? Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean to tell me out of 3 parents, only one has a rock solid alibi, was on film in a jail, and has key cards? Huh. Imagine that. Nothing to see over here, y'all. Nothing to see over here, except if you want to hear Chris threatening people, right? And threatening to do bodily harm to people, well, then you come to the right place. This is the Bullhorn Betty channel, and we like to expose dirty-ass people, and especially, moreover, dirty parents that like to hurt their children, allegedly, and in my opinion.
So fuck that bitch. I'm sitting tired of listening to this fucking bitch run her mouth about me, my wife, my family.
Let's put a bet on it. How many people, by the show of ones and twos, how many people feel that Brittany J might get a PO and have to be forced to Tennessee? How many people? One to two, right? That she's going to get this OP filed against her. 2, she's going to be the one that files against him. Or 3, he doesn't got the balls, right? Isn't that what he always tries to say about Seth? He ain't got the balls. I'd love to see this, and I'd love to see that. I'm going to talk to him, and no, right? So, who is the one that's out here threatening all these people? Well, I remember on June 25th, when I was in Tennessee, on actually June, I think it was June 19th, June 20th, June 22nd, I was threatened by Chris Proudfoot. I was threatened that if I'm in the streets, he's going to run me over. And then a cop pulls me over on the 25th, and lo and behold, there's his father-in-law that, was going to take a baseball bat to me in his head, circling my car.
Terry Bowersox, his stepdad.
Sure sounded like action behind those threats to me. Sure sound like threats were being realized at that moment. So I think I have a reason for being angry and upset. But this, he's going after publicly threatening bodily harm to yet another content creator. Oh.
She said she has a right to be angry and upset, not angry at Seth. Okay? Just wanted to clear that up.
By the way, he just lost his grace this one time. We've never seen this behavior. We never seen this on web sleuths. We never seen this on Smiley Stories World. We didn't see this outside of the courthouse either, right? All of this is just it's just a delusion in our brains that this is the first time Chris is just let loose, right?
Or on Chlamydia's channel.
When that bitch she ain't fucking no angel. She ain't no goddamn perfect person. Fuck her.
Which is who he's talking to, by the way.
Yeah, but she ain't missing a kid, and her kid isn't presumed dead at this moment either, right? Right, audience? Her kids are not missing. Whether she makes her man happy or not, it's not her child missing. It's not her child that is a national story. It's his. It's his stepson. It's not BJ. It's not Bullhorn Betty. It's just them. The trash that Sebastian had to deal with. Do you know he told his counselors he couldn't understand why his mama hated him? Or he thought his mama hated him? Something to that effect? Did you know that? Oh, but they're the parents of the freaking year.
I can't argue any of that you just
And anybody
said.
that fucks with her could fuck off too.
Hey, BJ. Hey, Brittany J.
Hey, Brittany.
I like effing with you.
Hey to the 3 people that are in my
I like effing with you.
Please hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you being here. And Brittany J, if you're one of them, I'm so happy you're here.
With you, girl. So I guess I'm one of those people that can F off. I wonder if he was talking directly to me. Does he know that he's got a protective order? That any type of,
third party
contact with my people constitute a violation of that too? Huh. I wonder what my attorney's got to say about all this.
I agree.
So sick and tired of listening to this fucking bitch.
Do you guys think this is the first time Chris has talked about a woman like this? Raise your hand if you think this is a common practice for Chris. Number 1, if you think this is, yes, you think this is a common practice for Chris. Put me a number 2 in the chat if no, you do not. I'm a 1. You know what we just saw here? We saw here a man that cannot control his behavior. A man that gets angry and loses his shit. When he can't control a narrative or control somebody's speech, he wants to threaten them with bodily harm.
Exactly. So, as I titled my live stream tonight, will the real Chris Proudfoot please stand up? Please stand up. Are you somebody that threatens women and children? Yes. Are you someone that threatens other content creators? Yes. Are you someone that lies through his false teeth? And I can say that because I have false teeth. Okay? So I'm not putting you down. Yes, you do. Are you someone who's got a very, very foul mouth? Vile language? Yes, you are. Are you someone who is a wife abuser? Yes, you are. Are you someone that can't have somebody in your house if they're not 100% perfect or perfect in your eyes? Yes, you are. Do you think you're going to get full custody of Faith? Yes, you do. Will you get custody of Faith? Not if you don't produce Sebastian. That's simple. There is no judge, in my opinion, on the face of the United States of America that is going to give full custody to you of Faith when Sebastian went missing from your home, the home that you provide security for Sebastian. Yeah, when you made this plan, Mr. Proudfoot, you and Mrs. Proudfoot made the plan to remove Sebastian from your home. Ever what means you used to do it? In my opinion, it is a decision that was made. At the same time that decision was made, the decision to never have custody of Faith was also made at the same time. So now, the real Chris Proudfoot is now a childless husband for the 5th time. There you go. You might, if you're lucky, get to see Faith again after she's 18. If she decides she wants to see you. But if she sees the true Chris Proudfoot, then Faith will not, in my opinion, want to go see you. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. The reason I came on early tonight was because Brittany J is planning to go live tonight. I have not got the notification that she is live yet, but it's due anytime. I didn't want to step on her toes with her subscribers because we share some of the same subscribers. So thank you for being here. If you're in the El Dorado, Kansas area tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., please come on over to the train depot at 405 Main Street and see me at my booth, which is when you walk in the door to the train depot, turn left, and instead of going into the bathrooms, go into the little room right beside the hallway. Not down the hallway, but beside the hallway. So there's 2 openings at the end of the train depot. The one on the left is a little hallway that has 2 bathrooms. And the one on the right is to the room, because I rented a whole room about this size of my office, and I'm going to have my goods, like what you don't see on the table anymore. I'll show you a vase that's going in there tomorrow. Like, toad over here. Look at this gorgeous hand-blown glass vase. Good live. My daughter just came home from Kansas. She was in school for ASL. Really? What part of Kansas? Oh, you don't have to. Don't dox your daughter. I'm sorry. I'm near Wichita. We have good schools in Wichita, and we have good schools in Kansas City. We got good schools in Emporia, and but I personally went to college in Washington, D.C. So, but I've never been to Washington, D.C. I did online. So thank you, Marley13, for being a new member. I appreciate you. And thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to the other people that are in the chat. Do something nice for someone. Now, I won't be here tomorrow night because with the yard sale going on all day tomorrow, I won't have time to research for a video. So do something nice for someone, even if it's be the reason they smile, and get Locker